Hi, here I am again. Let's continue with the series 0 to Game Dev Hero. Today we finally get to know classes and objects. After all, C# is an object-oriented programming language. So surely objects must be important, right? Well, that's right. And you're about to find out why. Here we go. I said that almost everything in C# is a class, and that's true. For example, our program is a class, and also console from console_write_line is a class. We haven't really looked at objects yet, but we'll take a look at those too, since they are related to classes. But what are classes and objects? Let's start again with a real-world example. Imagine you are building a car. Perfect example. Everybody likes to build some cars in his spare time. To build the car, you need a blueprint or a manual. With the blueprint, you'll be able to build many cars. A red car with 4 doors, a blue car with 2 doors, and a yellow car without roof and with 2 doors. So the cars are all different, but still they are all cars. The blueprint only tells you that the car has a color, must have a certain number of doors, and it can be with or without a roof. How many different cars you build from it is up to you. And this is how you can understand classes and objects. Classes are our blueprints for objects. And how does a class look like? Let's take the example we just looked at and make a car class. The class tells which properties the car has. For example, color and number of doors. So, how is the car? And the class also says what a car can do. For example, driving or honking. And from this we can create many cars, and each car can drive, honk, and has some properties. Let's jump directly into the code and create a class. So here we are in our code. Normally we would create a new file for each class, but this is not possible with one compiler, so I will create the class just under our program. You can see that the program is a class as well, and everything inside the curly brackets is what is inside of this class. So under it, we will write the code for our new class. So under it, we write class car and then our curly brackets. Now we created our first class. Like I said before, a class consists of variables that describe the class and functions or so-called methods that describe the things the class can do. Let us define our variables. So the first variable will be the color. Let's write string color. We will save our color inside of a string. The second variable will be the number of doors. This could be an int. So int number of doors. Then we will have a bool variable that can be either true or false for our roof. So has the car a roof, or let's call it has roof. And either it has a roof or it has no roof. And the last variable will be the sound of the honk. So let's save it in a string as well. It's easier for us. And of course, when you make a sound later in your app, you will not use a string for it. But for now, for our example, we only know those variables, and therefore we will use a string to save the sound. So let's call it honk sound. Okay. Now we can create an object out of this class. For this, we need to go to our main function in our program. Let's delete this console_write_line. And here we can create an object. So let's write car. And here you can see car is the type of the object you want to create. It's exactly like int, string, bool. In this case, we have a car, and this car needs to have a name, and we call it blue car 1. And then we need to assign a value to this car. And this car will have the value of a new car, like this. So what we do here is we have a type car, and this car has the name blue car 1. And the value of blue car 1 is a new car. So here we create a new object of the type car. And the type car is the class we just created. Now we have our first object created with our car class. Cool. You can create another one. So let's create car, red car 1, new car, right? New car like this. Oh, like this. But the problem is they are both the same at the moment. So how can we create the different objects with different colors, for example, or different honk sounds? Therefore, we need a so-called constructor. The constructor is called here. So whenever you say new car, the first thing that is called or executed inside the car is the constructor. To create a constructor, we have to write the following code inside of our car class. So we write public car, normal brackets and curly brackets. We will learn about the public here later, or what public means. We already used it a few times, but you will learn it later. What you need to know now is that this is the constructor. Now this constructor is called every time we create a new object, like here or here. But at the moment, the constructor does nothing. We can define that the constructor needs values. We can then pass those values when we create a new object. We can write inside those brackets, for example, that we need a string value or a value with the type string, and it is a honk, new honk sound. Like this. Now, when we create the objects, we have to give those objects those needed values. So it basically tells us, hey, give me a honk sound. And if we don't give it the honk sound, it won't work. So now we need to give it a honk sound here. And we know that the honk sound is a string. And how we write strings? We write strings inside of quotes. And here we can say beep, beep. And the other car can have another honk sound like two, or something like this. I don't know how to imitate a honk sound, but you know what I mean. And those two cars have now different honk sounds. So this honk sound variable is now different for both of the cars. There's another step we need to do before this honk sound actually is the new honk sound. So what you need to do now is inside those curly brackets, you can write honk sound equals new honk sound. And what happens now is that when this constructor is executed, so now when the constructor is executed, it receives a string. The string is beep beep. So now it's here and it has the string, and what it does is it sets the value of honk sound to the value of new honk sound. And the value of new honk sound is here beep beep, and for the other car 2. And then for one of the cars, the honk sound is beep beep, and for the other car, it's toot toot. We can do the same thing for other variables as well. So we can write string new color bool roof, and we can call those variables as we want, and num doors. And now you can say color equals new color as roof equals roof, and number of doors equals num doors. You can call them however you want. It's just important that you know what you meant by calling them like code. But now you have to give those values to the constructor when the new object is created. So now we need to move on. So we have beep beep, it's the honk sound. Then the next thing we need here is the new color. It's a string as well. So let's give it blue. Then should it have a roof or not? Oh, let's say false. And then the number of doors is 4. And here for the other car, we can say it's red. It has a roof, and the number of doors is 2. Cool. Constructors are a little bit confusing in the beginning, but you will understand them better the more you use them. The second thing a class can have is a method or methods. Methods describe what a class can do. Our car can drive or honk. A method is written like this. So we go here under our constructor and we write void. And I will explain it to you after I wrote it. Void honk brackets and then curly brackets. And this is a method. So a car can honk. The void is the return type. There are different return types. We will cover return types in another video. You don't need to know what it does. Don't worry about it at the moment. So let's move on. You just need to know that in a method, you always need to start with a return type, and the one that you will use very often is void. Honk is the name of the method. And again, the same as for variables, it is important to name your methods right. Otherwise, you will have a hard time later. And what we can do now is we can write the logic inside of this method that the car does when we execute the honk. So every time the car honks, we can do something. And we can write console write line. And what we want to display, we want to display the honk sound variable. So to display it, we can just write honk sound. And now every time we honk, the honk sound will be displayed. And now you will see as well that both cars have a different honk sound because we defined a different one with our variables or values here and our constructor. So now what you can do is, again, in our main method, you can write blue car 1 and now dot, and this is exactly the same structure as for console write line, for example. So you have console write line dot and then write line. And here we have blue car 1 dot and then honk. So the write line is just a method of the console class, and honk is just the method of our car class, and blue car 1 is an object of the car class. So when I hit run now, Oh, and we have an error now. So there is one little thing. The error here is that the honk method is not public. We need to set it public. We will learn about this later. What you need to know now is public says that this method can be called from other classes as well. If it is, when it's not public, you can only call the honk method inside of the car class. When it's public, you can also call it from, for example, our program class. So it needs to be public, but you will learn about this later. So yeah, we can write blue car 1.honk, and if we hit run now, it will work. You can see beep beep, because we defined beep beep for our blue car. For our red car, 1. If we hit run button now, you will see beep beep, because the blue car does beep beep, and 2 is the honk sound for our red car. Perfect, it works. That's enough for today. It wasn't easy, but hopefully got through it well. The more you do all this, the easier it will be for you. Even if you don't understand everything well today, you will learn and understand everything by and by. We will create many classes and the structure will become clearer for you. But now you know everything to start working with Unity. There is a lot more you can learn about objects and classes, but we will cover all of this when you need it. As a homework, you can try to create a human class. It will have a hair color, an age, and the height. The human can also walk and talk. Try it out so you can practice the structure of a class. You can find the solution to this in the description. If you like my content, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. It supports me a lot. If you have any questions or any feedback, leave a comment. I will try to answer all of them. Thank you for watching and see you next time.